just the access over the last year due to COVID funds and capital, was that something that easy to get, bad to get, hard, like great to get, easy, like it's all over. I hear a lot of like horror stories where people are like, oh, they said that there's access and they can't get it, or they get refused and blah 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 blah, and it's just like, what? I know you've been able to secure some. Like, what was that whole process like for you?
Yeah,
Don't lie about this. Come on.
no, you're not gonna get a lie from me, brother. Well, I ain't gonna talk about my money. First of all, I'll tell you about some of the opportunities. I'll tell you, count my pockets. I would say first a misnomer, grants. I was terrified about grants because I thought it was such a long process that you had to have a grant writer or someone to be able to, get these opportunities that were coming available to, because of the pandemic and so on and so forth. But what I found out was that it was very user friendly. A lot of the grant opportunities I went after, I was the only person that applied in terms of I didn't require a grant writer or anyone else. I was able to submit all the documentation that they requested. For me, it was something that I could do without needing someone. Like, I don't need anybody to do this for me. So I was always terrified of pursuing grant opportunities because I thought I needed someone else. But, great opportunities. One was my latest one was the city of Chesapeake through their economic development office. They provided a grant for over $12,000, and I was possibly denied the first time or so because my business hadn't been established in the city of Chesapeake long enough. So that hurt a lot of folks. If they started their business in 2019 or 2020, they may have not been eligible for certain grants. But as the different rounds continued, then they asked for different criteria. So eventually, the year my business was established in Chesapeake was an accepted requirement. So.
We had a guest on the show, Tim Ritter, a Family Fun Experience, who signed his lease basically right as COVID started, and he wasn't able to get anything because of that. And obviously a lot of it was tied to employee paychecks and stuff like that. But like, can you imagine signing that lease, not expecting to be ready for the spring and fall, or the spring and summer crowds, and then just
it's really heartbreaking. I mean, there was several opportunities though, but you had to. The problem was we know what those opportunities were. It's what I would have preferred the city of Chesapeake doing, or maybe other municipalities, is using that text notification service that they use to tell you that there's a flash flood in your area, to let those business owners know that there are grant opportunities now available for businesses impacted by COVID. Use some of those resources to be able to get the message out, even if you're not putting a billboard up or whatever the case may be, even if you're not sending out mailers, some way that business owners in our area knew that these opportunities was available. I mean, I understand that maybe they didn't want to promote it too much because maybe they had limited funding. That could have been a reason, but
a great way to find out a lot of those resources that's updated all the time is startwheel.org/COVID-19-grant-opportunities. So that is where Tim and the StartWheel team put all that nonsense together that's so hard to figure out where is it, and they're updating it. And look, Tim and I are on some of these emails, and like people are just sending stuff, and like we were on a Zoom call the other day, and someone was like, "Oh, did you know this?" And it had been going on forever. Where it's basically like the $10,000 idle advance that people were getting over a year ago. If you only got $3,000 of that money, let's say, apparently now you can go back and ask for the $7,000 and get it. And it's like, who knew that was available? And just there's still so much stuff going on, and some of the stuff is too good to be true, I think, and some stuff is a lot easier to comprehend and get. But like, it's that link, we'll throw it back up. But like, that's Tim and team have been doing a great job.
It's almost a full-time job to keep all that straight, and that's for somebody that's trying to pay attention to it. Someone like you, I mean, if you're driving a few hundred miles a day, I mean, it's just, it's really tough to keep on top of everything that's going on. I mean, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
And I think before, to your point, George, there was money that was set aside. They didn't know how fast it was going to go, and they made it so difficult to get that money. And now they're like, "Oh man, we've got umpteen $1 billion that we still have to get rid of." And then they
Right.
ease some of those restrictions, and it's just, I mean, I think it goes back to the adage in the sense of it's easy to make things complicated, but it's really complicated to make things easy. And
I
so
never
we
heard that. I
just
like that.
everything was just thrown out there, and it's just super, super complicated. I mean,
Yeah.
looking at some of the when you look at the formulas in terms of how they calculated those numbers, of how
Yeah.
much you get, or then the repayment forgiveness aspect of it. I mean, my
Or
gosh.
like I remember, what was it? 25% of PPP can be non-employee based, but you have to prove it in this kind of way, and it can't be used for this, but it could be used for that, which is it's wild. It's interesting to be like, oh, I thought I was doing my accounting the right way, but actually it's not the right way that they wanted it for this thing, and it's
Right.
it's interesting. I guess it's frustrating for many as well. And so I think there was also still like people from a first round perspective. I remember talking to a company a few months ago, and I was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know the second round's available. They're like, well, we still want to get our money back for the first one, or forgiveness for the first one. So we're not going to do this
Right.
other thing again.
That's what
And
I
so
did.
I haven't been hearing a lot of that, but or at least recently, it sounds like there has been a good amount of forgiveness, which is what was, preached before.
Right.
But man, can you imagine thinking you're getting, let's say 150 grand, you think you think you've played by the rules, and then they're like, oh, by the way, we're only going to give you 50 grand of that back. Oh, but you get, a nice little percentage. It's like, well, I played by your rules. Like,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I can see that being extremely frustrating for a company that was forced to be closed during the pandemic.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah,
I was really going
I've been directly involved within our entrepreneurial community for years. And the most common question I get is, Tim, I want to get involved, but I don't know what events I should attend. Well, StartWheel eliminates that pain point because we consolidate all the events you should attend into a single calendar. Now you'll be in the know and see where to spend your time. Gone is the need to search multiple websites and calendars. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.